I've actually been wanting to make a video about the Black Widow thing for the last few days because this is a little bit dated, I guess. But the story of the writer coming out. Did you hear about this, Al?
I have not heard anything about this.
Okay.
I just know a couple of people in the film.
Okay. So of course they had to make sure they hired a woman to write it and a woman to direct it because men are incapable of directing and writing for women as well as white men are incapable of writing and directing for black men and so forth now, so they had to make sure they got a woman to write it. And she did this article, she did this interview. It's hard to imagine somebody more out of touch than this woman. She admits in this article that she's never been a superhero fan, but she says there's so many opportunities in superhero movies now to affect real change. She blatantly admits she doesn't like superheroes. She just wants to come in and push some social agenda, political nonsense. That's what she wants to do with this movie. Create change. If your first motivation in any artistic endeavor is to promote change, then you're not creating art. You are not creating art at all. You're creating propaganda. That is what you're creating. Art can absolutely incite change and inspire change. Absolutely. But if that's your first motivation as a creator, you're not an artist. You're a propagandist. And that's what Hollywood has absolutely become. That's what this woman who thinks she's writing a wonderful Black Widow movie is doing. That's what I have no hope for this Black Widow film, especially because it's set before she's going to die anyway in Endgame, right? I think that's been revealed. It's set in between like Civil War and Infinity War. Who cares? Who cares about anything that goes on in that universe anymore? I just don't understand it. I Endgame just completely ruined it, and yeah, who even cares about it? What glorying in a character like Black Widow can you do in a prequel film, knowing that her character is going to unceremoniously and nonsensically be sacrificed? It just doesn't make any sense. It's just it's ridiculous, and this woman just completely blind about this, and it plays into even a more ridiculous kind of notion that's out there in the media. Ethan Van Sciver did a really cool video some weeks back about and he actually went through and showed some tweets. Some people were tweeting about how haha, we've infiltrated the comics now, where we've infiltrated the Thor movie. The Thor Love and Thunder movie was the one they were really kind of talking about, but we got a woman Thor now. I recommend checking out that video. I forget the name exactly of it, but Jayashiro Finney, who's a guest on our channel sometimes, he and Kat Rocha did an amazing video just recently. It's over on Ishii's channel. If Zachary Jonley or Casey Scott, if somebody could drop a link to that, that'd be really great. To Ishii's channel, or to that video. It's the last video they did, Talking Shop, and it was about this dumbass article from the UK talking about how, yay, Thor's going to be a woman. Now we need to get rid of all these other pale, male, and stale superheroes and this and that. And it was specifically calling for, and this is a sentiment that you see out there, specifically calling for, let's replace the superheroes that are already there. Let's take the white male superheroes that are already there, white straight male, and replace them with diversity casting, diversity versions of themselves or whatever. And it tried to make some sort of nonsense, ridiculous case for, we need to do that. We need to do it. You need to do that. So women superheroes are not strong enough to develop on their own. They need to piggyback on the white men. Minority superheroes are not strong enough on their own, is what this sentiment says. They need to piggyback on established white characters or male characters. It's nonsense. And the people who go for this agenda, like we see in this creator of this writer from Black Widow, they're so driven by the motivation of change or propaganda, pushing their platform. They can't create art. And that shows. The audiences realize that. Because I remember seeing a tweet years ago. I think it was around the time that Star Wars was coming out, the Disney stuff. And it said, it was some woman, she thought she was being cute, and she was like, she said something to the effect of, we've taken your Ghostbusters, we've taken your something another in the comics, and now we're coming for your Star Wars. Ah ha 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 ha. And I look back at that tweet now and I think, really, how did that work out for you, sweetheart? How did that work out for you? Ghostbusters, Paul Feig's Ghostbusters, will go down in history as an incredible joke. No one is going to take that movie seriously or ever look fondly back on that film unless you buy into the agenda, pre-programmed with the agenda that it was shot in. I've heard people say, "Well, it's actually not a bad movie." Doesn't matter. Does not matter. The
It's a
point is,
bad
it
movie.
was a pointless film. It didn't need to be made. It was completely made for the sole reason of, ha ha, white boys. Now we've got girls in here. Um, so yeah, how did that work out for you? How did replacing Thor as Jane in the comics work out? All different Marvel just plummeted, took a dive. That's the end. That's the beginning of the end for comic books, unless you want to date it even earlier. It's ridiculous. So this sort of like blind like glee about, ha ha ha, we got to do this now, we got to do this. Yeah, and it all sucks, and it's not making any money. Ghostbusters, Marvel, Star Wars. Even if you want to try and say, well, no, Star Wars is still very monetary. No, it's not. The bomb of Solo is because of Last Jedi. Bringing even Disney itself, in the language that they're using, bringing back Abrams to do this episode 9 is trying to say this is a course correction. This is and Rian Johnson with Last Jedi took the whole idea of Rey, Mary Sue as a Star Wars hero, and ratcheted that up to even more than 11 with Rose Tico, with Admiral Purple Hair, with all this nonsense. It fails. It does not make money. It is not successful. It's not sustainable. People will not continue to buy this crap. So I understand what this sort of pseudo or nonsense idea of victory that these agenda people have coming in and saying, ha ha, we're doing this now, we're going to do this now, we're going to do this now. Yeah, and it's just going to kill the franchise and kill the genre because it sucks and nobody likes it except for your two or three other purple-haired gleebots, who like you on Twitter. That's it. That is it. Congratulations. You're killing culture. Congratulations. And it's not going to die. It's going to spring up somewhere else, free of your bullshit, and be reborn in some other way. But you're not achieving anything. What the hell are you proud about? This is like a child who's just like said, "No, you are, but what am I?" And they think they are the pinnacle of wit now. That's what these idiots sound like. That's what this Black Widow writer sounds like. That's what these comic book writers and film producers and all of them sound like. It's just ridiculous. And this hurts culture on so many levels. It hurts the franchise and the art there that exists. It hurts that
Mhm.
culture, that piece of culture. It hurts that piece of mythology and the mythological, societal, and psychological work that those myths can do. It hurts that. But not only that, though, it also establishes in culture the principle that to be an artist, to be a creator, to be a writer, a filmmaker, or whatever, is not dependent on your ability and your quality output. It's dependent on your opinions and on your willingness to force those opinions and let them supersede any sort of good storytelling in your art. That's now the established precedent for what makes a artist or a writer or a filmmaker in our culture, and that's a pretty shit precedent to set. This is where cultures crumble and societies fall eventually from this nonsense. Now, I'm not trying to be too overly dramatic and say, "Oh, it's over now. We're Rome to be." No, no, no. But I'm just saying this is detrimental to society. This is detrimental to culture on a societal and individual in terms of psychological level. It's and the effects will be felt. The effects will be felt.
Mhm.
So the trailer or the teaser, actually it's more of like a glimpse, a special sneak peek or whatever, of the new Wonder Woman animated film dropped the other day, and it is so much bullshit. It pisses me off so much because what they did was they took a classic story. It's an incredible story. It's from the George Perez run about Vanessa Capitelli and becoming the Swan and everything like that, and it's Silver Swan. It's a great story. So they took that story, lifted it from the continuity and everything that it's placed in, and you don't have to do the story spot on. I mean, I would have preferred them to make Steve Trevor a love interest and everything like that, but they take it and they set it in their bullshit New 52 aesthetic and continuity that they're doing. So they're trying to tell the Wonder Woman of Justice League, of all of the nonsense New 52 Justice League shit they've been doing. That Wonder Woman, this is her early story in her continuity. So she's dressed in that nonsense aerobics instructor costume, which is ridiculous. They put her in the Gal Gadot costume when she's on the island, just to make sure that they've got some sort of link to that, to the Snyderverse or whatever. And they've got all these, and you look at Steve Trevor. He is completely neutered. He is just like Mr. Cookie Cutter Soy Boy husband. Not that he's her husband, but he's just like, yes, I support you. I'm here for you. what shall I do next? I mean, it's just like they've got diversity at a candy, which was never there from the beginning. But it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't have to not work. We can just see all the little decisions they made. They have just bastardized the hell out of this story. And I hear some people trying to say these are people who they call themselves fans of the characters, but they're not really. They're fans of the name. They're fans of the title. They're fans of the logo. And these are the kind of people who's like, well, hey, if you make a Star Wars movie, I want to see it. Why? Even if it's nothing like Star Wars should be, you always got the logo on there. It's continuity. It's canon. No, it's not. You idiot. You complete and total dumbass. That's not, our superheroes are like that too. So I hear people say, look, I just like Wonder Woman and I'm going to see it because it's a Wonder Woman movie. No, it's not. It has the Wonder Woman logo. If you really cared about the character, you wouldn't just mindlessly and recklessly consume everything that has the logo on it. That's how crap stories are encouraged at that level. And the first people say, well, the first one was good. Yeah, the first Wonder Woman animated movie 2009 was amazing because it was done before the New 52 took over the animated universe. And that's the movie that we should be getting a sequel to right now. But no, they want to make one that'll redo that whole continuity. Steve Trevor's not the cool flyboy that he was in that. Wonder Woman's not going to wear a classic costume. She's not she doesn't have things like the invisible jet. She doesn't come back to return him and be the ambassador and all this kind of nonsense. They're redoing all this stuff and it's so subtle and everybody's just like, I just like the character. No, you don't. You like the logo. So deal with that. Sorry. Computer Robot says you have to understand that the movie-going audience brains work differently from comic book fans. And that's part of the insidious nature of these changes that they make to the characters. Because what they're trying to do is trying to say if we can just slip these changes to the characters here for political agenda purposes, we can just slip that in and we can cement that version of the character in the minds of Joe Q movie public who doesn't necessarily know any better about the character's stories. Then we've got then we'll be able to change and supplant the original versions of it. It doesn't work. It never works. At the beginning of that sneak peek for the Wonder Woman movie, the director, I think, has even said, it's interesting, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman are just so well known in our public. And I think he says something to the effect of, but your average person doesn't know a lot about Wonder Woman's backstory. That doesn't give you license to just go screwing with it and doing whatever the hell you want with it. And he talks about how people know that her character is being kind, loving, and compassionate. That's linked to her story, to her origin, to the things you're trying to change. Sorry. Thought I was done, but I wasn't. I'm done now. Done!